Welcome everyone to another technical live stream here at the Wized channel. Today we're doing just another instance of these series where we are building a community forum using Wized, Webflow, and Supabase. Today's the fifth video, I think, if I'm not wrong. And we are going to continue from where we left off, which is we created all the post pages, we created all the category pages. We are ready now to start building the create a new post page. So here today, we're going to see how to interact with external third-party libraries, because we're going to bring a library to implement a rich text editor. And then also, if we have enough time, we are going to see how to do one thing that I struggled with in the last live stream, which is displaying user data in the posts. Remember that when we list the post, I'm going to show you this in a second, so don't worry. But when we list the post, we want to also display who made the post, the username, and the profile of that person. And because of permissions in Supabase, the way that users are stored, it's secure, and you have to explicitly retrieve that data. So we're going to do another approach for retrieving that data. I think that you're going to like it. But that's going to be after creating the create post page. So let's see. We are 2 minutes in. Anybody here in the chat? Thank you for coming. Welcome. Nice. Maybe some of you yesterday assisted to the attributes version 2 launch. I'm happy about that. If you missed it, go ahead and check it out in the FinSuite channel. Yesterday, we made a big announcement. Attributes version 2 is live, it's ready, it's open source, and it is compatible with Wized. I made sure of that. So it's exciting times. I really want everyone to just give it a try and give us feedback, because obviously there's going to be things to improve. Nice. Hello guys. Hey Shane. Hey Sukumar. Thank you for coming. Love it. Nice. All right. Let's not waste time, because there's a lot of things to do today. So let's share the screen and let's start building things. So as a quick recap, as I mentioned, we are now with the all posts page with the categories navigation. We now see all the posts. The only thing that it's missing is displaying who made that post. We're going to do that later. And then also we can navigate across categories. We can see the specific posts of one category like this. We can navigate like that. It is nice. Here there are no posts like this. And that's mostly it. I think that it was also missing adding the empty state. So when there are no posts, we display something like, hey, all right, there's no post. If we have time, again, we're going to do this. If we don't have time today, don't worry, we're going to do it on the next live stream. So the thing that I want to do now is be able to create new posts. That's it. So here I want to add something like a create a post. Maybe we can add the button in somewhere in here. Maybe it makes sense, right? So let's do this. Let's go to Webflow. And first of all, we need to come up with a UI. So we will have to create this page. So I'll just duplicate this and let's do a create page like that. So let's duplicate. This is going to be create a new post, or let's do new post. Yeah, new post. So we can get rid of all of this like that. And here, there's a bunch of things that I want to display. I want to display a rich text editor for that post. And I also want to have a category picker. So when I'm creating a new post, I want to choose what category is it from. Is it an announcement? Is it something about videos? Is it something about programming? I don't know. Then in the future, we are going to also add a tags system so we can assign tags to the post. But right now we still don't have tags, so we're not going to do this yet. And that's pretty much it. I think that we can keep it simple first, and then we can always keep improving. So let's do this super quick. We're going to do, let me try to get some inspiration from the FinSuite forum. What happens if I want to create a new topic? All right, so we have we need a title as well, right? So we want to have some title. We want to have a drop down with the, let me zoom in before Gabe gets mad at me. We want to have a drop down for the category. Then in the future, as I mentioned, we want to have some optional tags. We want to have the rich text editor. And also, this is actually nice. We can see the result. Maybe we can do that as well. We can do the result. We'll see. All right. Let's do this for now. Okay. So here, let's do, instead of doing a div block, let's do a form block. Let's make a form. And in here, as I mentioned, this is going to be the title. Let's do title like this. So we want to call this something like title. I'm assigning a name to it, a form field name. We can also do a category like that. And remember that we listed the categories in the CMS as well, right? So I'm going to show you a trick on how to render CMS options, CMS items inside the select dropdown options with the new custom element feature that we've got in Webflow. So I'm going to get rid of this and let's create a custom element. And that custom element is going to be a select dropdown like that. And yeah, we want to do a select. I want to have this. So let's add the class of, I think that the built-in class of Webflow is W input. Yes, it is W input like that. Is it? Yes, it is. So I want to do this, but also I want to do something. Do I need something else? No, let's keep it like that. So usually, if you're building a select dropdown, you want to go and in the settings, you would see the option settings in here. But this is not a built-in native Webflow select dropdown. This is just a custom element with HTML. So we want to inject HTML as well inside this select. So let's put a collection list like that. Let's connect this to categories. And for each collection item, we are going to add as well a custom element. And the custom element is going to be an option like that. The option will have a text, and the text will be the name. Look at this, it's already appearing. And we're also going to do, not a condition, I want to do attributes, and we're going to do a value of the Supabase ID like that. All right. So when we choose, let me play this. When we choose any of these categories from the dropdown, the value of it is going to match the category ID from Supabase because we did that in the CMS. In the CMS, we've got the Supabase ID just pointing to the right ID in Supabase. Nice, handy. So we can do this without doing anything. It's coming from the Webflow CMS. Pretty handy. Nice. Okay. I also want to do another thing because this select dropdown, I need to. What do I need? Yeah, to assign a name to it, and the name is going to be. Let's do category. Yeah, category. Category is fine. Maybe category ID. Yeah, let's do category ID because we're selecting the category ID, not the name. Nice. And then now I'm wondering because in here I want to add the not in the select. I want to add the I'm gonna say tomorrow the rich text editor, right? And I think that let's try to set it up first, and then we'll decide if here we put a text area element or something like that. Nice, Shane. Appreciate it. I appreciate that you appreciate it. All right. So for the rich text editor, we're going to use Quill.js. There are many other rich text editors that you can use. This is just one JavaScript library that I know that it works nicely and it's cool. So I'm going to use this one. But if you want to use any other rich text editor, the approach will be very similar. It will just be about importing the library and then initializing it and then connecting it with Webflow, not with Webflow, sorry, with Wized. So we've got here Quill.js. Let's go to the documentation on how to set it up. Quick start. This is saying, all right, we need to include a style sheet. Nice. Then we need to add some markup for the editor, which it looks like it's only a div. That's it. All right. It's a div. And then we also put the library here as well, and then we initialize it. So all of this is going to go in Webflow. The initialization code, this is going to be in Wized. All right. Now let me quickly check because no Quill, web Quill installation. Give me 1 second because sometimes there are rich text editors that allow you to pass a form input. So then you don't need to be doing anything else. That the form input is always in sync with the text that you're writing in the rich text editor. So let me check that for a second. Or maybe we can just simply do a test. Quill requires a container where the editor will be appended. You can pass it either a CSS selector or a DOM object. If the container is not empty, Quill will initialize with existing contents. All right. We can pass an object. Maybe there's an option. Let's see. Formats, placeholder, read only, registry, theme. No, I don't think that there's a way to sync easily with an input. We will have to do it ourselves in Wized. Yeah, probably we'll have to sync it ourselves with Wized. Don't worry, it's going to be very simple. We're going to do it ourselves with Wized. So what I'm going to do is here, this is going to be the editor, right? So let's install this. Let's call this editor or rich text block editor, for example. And just for the sake of knowing what's happening, let's add some borders for a second. Maybe we can also add some paddings. This is just for me. Probably we'll have to tweak this later. Like that. Nice. So inside here, it's going to go the Quill editor. So let's add an ID. Let's do Quill. Yeah, Quill. Quill. Like that. It's fine. Quill. Nice. So here is going to go there, but also I want to have a text area. So in here, I want to have a text area that contains the same data as this. Or do you know what? Probably we can skip this. Let's skip it for now. Let's just skip this like that. So that's mostly it. Do we have some margins in here? Because I see that there's margins. Probably yes. It's probably good because of the field. So let's create an input. Let's a form field, form input. Yeah, form input. All right, so they have margin bottom. So let's do the same in here. Let's do simply this. Rem. Nice. So we can do the form input. And let's reuse this in both scenarios. Let's do this as well here. Nice. Okay, and the submit button, it will be a create post. Create. Whoops. Like that. We also probably want to have a cancel. So if we cancel, we want to go back to the home page. So let's add a link here. Link block, text link. I think the text link is fine. Yeah, text link. So this is going to be a button as well, but it's going to be a secondary button like that. And we can call this cancel or back. And the only thing that's going to do is simply go back to the home page. That's it. We don't need any complex logic for this. Why they're not the same width? I don't like this. All right. Well, you already know it. We're not here for awesome designs. We're just here for for easy, fast designs that allows us to build things. So let's do this. Nice. So we've got this published. Now let's go to Wized. Here, let's reload this. Let's look for the create. Love it. And hold on, I realized that there's one missing thing. In the form, we need to add the Wized attribute. So let's do this. Let's do Wized equals to uh, create post form, like that. Boom. Done. So once this goes live, we're going to have access to here. Let's check X-ray. Nice, we've got this. All right. So when the page loads, we want to initialize Quill. So Quill runs and it's mounted in this wrapper that I created. So there's one thing that I missed again. Sorry, I'm missing things constantly. And it's that we need to include this, the style tag and the script tag. So let's do this. Let's go to the page in here, and in the head of the create page in Webflow, let's add the link for this and also the link for this. I'm adding this to the head, so I'm going to set it to defer. So instead of blocking the page from being loaded, it's gonna be loading in the background, and it's not gonna be until the page is loaded that this finalizes, it executes, sorry. So now we're talking. Good. Let's create an event. Let's call this initialize Quill JS, or Quill, it's fine. This is going to go into a folder later. We cannot do page starts loading, and the reason is because we need to wait until the page is ready. So we're going to do page finishes loading. So when the website has been loaded, we're going to run a function. And this function, let's for now simply initialize Quill. So let's do this. Boom. Copy, whoops. Paste this here like that. And let's see if it works. Oh, because it's not editor, it's Quill. Boom. All right. Good. So as you can see, we've got the page. So when we load, Quill.js is being mounted to the page like this. Now let me inspect super quick because I think that it's replacing the wrapper. Is it replacing the wrapper? I don't know. It is not. But for some reason, there is no margin. Why there is no margin? Didn't I add some margin here? I did add some margin, so probably Quill.js has some, yeah. All right, so Quill.js has, it overrides the margin. So instead, let's be more practical. Um, let's add some flex cap. So let's do form. Yeah, prefer this form. This is going to be flex like that. Let's add some gap, maybe 0.05 ram. Lovely. And then let's wrap these together inside divs so they look better together. So this goes in a div. This goes in a div as well. Nice. And also I want to remove the bottom margin of the inputs. All right, this is looking better. Great. So we don't need anything from here. We don't need these margin bottom as well. We don't need this border. We can get rid of all the styles that we added to here because Quill.js, it already has its own styles. Let's add a bit more. Let's add one ram. Great. So how do we connect Quill.js with Wized, right? Because we need to retrieve this data from Quill every time that when we submit the form. we can do that by, hold on a second. Nice. We've got some weird thing going on, but I think that we can type. We can do bold, done, I, yes. Great. So the way that we interact with Quill is using the API. So if you check this, when we initialize Quill, it returns an instance. And this instance has a bunch of methods that we can use to get the data from it, or populate data into the editor, or to modify things, etc. So here, as you can see, there's API for the content, deleting the text, getting the content, getting the length of it, getting the text. We can also format things. Nice. We can format a line. We can select things. We can change how the editor is behaving, etc. It's pretty extensive. So we want to get, do we want to get the contents, or do we want to get the text? What's the difference? Retrieve the contents of the editor with formatting data represented by a delta object. Let's see. Deltas are simple yet expressive format that can be used to describe Quill's contents and changes. Nah, we don't want this. We probably want to have the text. Know that even when Quill is empty, there's a still blank editor. All right. Get text, index length remaining. Get the HTML representation of the edited contents. Now, this is probably what we want, although ideally we want it as Markdown. Do we have a way to get it in Markdown? Doesn't look like it. All right. We're going to start with the text then. But ideally, I would love if this could be Markdown. Because, we want to have this formatting, obviously. We want to have being able to put boldings, italics, all these fancy things. But I don't want to store this as HTML and render it afterwards, because that's going to be a security problem, because anybody could be doing something like script, malicious coding here, right? And we don't want to do this. We want to always not store it as HTML, of course. We want to store it as text or Markdown, and then we simply render that properly. But I don't see a way to do this in here, so maybe we're gonna regret using Quill in the future. But for now, let's just do things, because I'm dragging this for too long. Let's do a quick test. I want to submit the form, and when I'm submitting the form, I want to retrieve the title, the category, and the context of the editor. All right. Let's make sure that the title is required. Let's also make sure that the category dropdown is required as well. So let's do this. Required equals to true, like that. And now here in Wized, let's say, so when the post form is submitted, let's simply submit it. Let's simply perform default. We don't need to reset the form. It's fine. Let's run a function for now. And I want to console log a bunch of things. Let's console log the f.createPostForm.title. Let's also console log f.createPostForm.category ID. And also, let's console log Quill. We're going to need to do this. How do we do this? When we initialize Quill, let's remember that this is the instance that we are assigning here. So if I want to access this abroad, everything, I can either assign it to the window. So I could do something like window.quill. That will simply assign the object to a property in the window that can be accessed everywhere. Another thing that I could do is simply create a variable and call this variable Quill, like that. And I assign to the Quill variable the instance. That's another option. So let's do that instead. Boom, initialize Quill, and this is going to go to v.quill like this. Let's refresh because this is just being created many times. And Quill.js will contain the instance. Obviously, because it's a class instance, we're not going to see the data here because in JavaScript, we cannot serialize it. But I think that we are good to simply console log, as I mentioned, this, and also let's do v.quill dot. Let's get the text, get text. Boom, like that. All right. So let's try it out. Let's come here. Let's do a console log. Hey, let's select maybe music. And then let's do some bold text. All right, what happens if I add this formatting? All right, great. So as you can see, this is being console log fine. So we are console logging the title. Hey, we're console logging the category ID. Great. And also we are console logging the text. But I don't like that we are losing this in here. I really don't like it. Let's see. Quill.js Markdown. Do we have something like this? Quill.js Markdown shortcut extension. All right, so there's an extension. That's too much. I don't like it. Let's see if there's anything that we can do. I think that All right, let me do it quick because I really want to store the text as Markdown, not as HTML. Or let's do one thing. Let's store it as HTML because otherwise we're going to lose a lot of time. And then in the future, let's switch that to Markdown because I really want to go with Markdown. But all right, so the content here, let's retrieve it as semantic HTML instead of text. So let's do this, get semantic HTML. Let's try it out again. Let's do blah, 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 some text. And then let's try, hey, this is some random bold text. Let's submit this. Oh, okay, nice. So I think that this is gonna work, I think, because it stores it as this. So it sanitizes it. What happens if I do this? Will it sanitize it? Let's assume that it sanitizes it. Yes, it does sanitize it. All right, that's fine. Then let's go with this. Let's go with the result from Quill. Great. So in here, boom. What we want to do is simply put this into the posts in here. So we want to create the post with an ID, with a title, with a body, and connect it to the user ID like that. And also we want to do the category ID. So let's do this. Let's create the request. Let's go here and let's do create a post. Boom, the folder posts Supabase. Let's create an item. The table is going to be posts. And I think that this is going to fail when we try to test it because we don't have role level security. But in here, we want to pass the title, and the title is going to be f.createPostForm.title. Then we want to do the category ID, which is going to be f.createPost.category ID. Then we also want to do the body. And the body is going to be the v.quill get semantic HTML was get semantic HTML like that. Yeah, lovely. Nice. Do you want anything else? Oh, yeah. Obviously, the user ID. We want to pass the user ID of who it belongs to. So, user ID. The user ID is going to be r.getUser.data. And there's an error. That means that we're not logged in. Let's see. Are we logged in? Get user. All session is missing. All right. We're going to have to look for that. But I think that this is going to be ID. Um, so this made me remember that when we try to access this page, we have to ensure that the user is logged in. Because if the user is not logged in, we want to kick him out of this page. Shane, I've always been a fan of having a view code option on the toolbar for custom HTML. Nice. We probably can enable that. Quill has a lot of different modules. Toolbar, for example. Look at this. Yeah, there's a lot of things. So we can probably later look into injecting images, etc., etc., etc. Absolutely. Nice. Great. Okay. First of all, I want to test this. So let's do this. Alex Iglesias at finsuite.com. I think the password was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Nice. So now that we're logged in, we should see. Why is this not navigating? Hold on. Come on. Sometimes the iframes are very weird. Now, thank you. So when doing the request here, is this user data.id? Let's see. Data user ID. All right, user ID. Nice. Like that. So when we create the post, we have all the data to do it. The only thing that it's missing is adding a row level security in here so we enable people to create posts, but we're going to do this in a second. So here, create the post form. On submit, we no longer are going to run a function. Let's get rid of that. Instead, first of all, we want to make it conditional. So the r.getUser.data.user.id exists. Otherwise, we don't want to allow to submit this. And now let's add an action, and the action is going to be perform a request, create a post like that. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, let's do that for now. Nice. Lovely. All right, let's try it out. But as I mentioned, this is going to fail. There's going to be an error here. So let's try it. Test. This is a test. Let's try to create it. But now you can see that we get this forbidden error. New rule violates the row level security policy for table posts. So we need to enable the action of creating new posts. Let's go to Supabase, table editor, posts, and let's go here up to the auth policy. We want to create a new row level security policy that enables only authenticated users to create the posts. So we could create it ourselves. Probably there's going to be some enable insert for authenticated users only. Look at that. There's already a template. So let's do this. Enable insert for authenticated users only is permissive, yes, and only for inserting. Nice. Great. All right, let's try it out again. Let's try to create this. And boom, use. It worked. Nice. So now we can check in the database, in the table, I think. Let's try to refresh this. How do I refresh this? Come on. Nice. Okay. So we've got this, and it's looking good. We've got the paragraph, we've got the title, we've got the user ID as well. We've got the category ID. Nice. And we've got the ID. So there's a couple things that I want to do. First of all, when we are submitting this, I want to update this to creating dot 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 or something like that. And after creating the post, I want to redirect the user to the create a new post page. Sorry, to the post page where we display the post, right? So let's do this super quick. So first of all, let's identify this button. Let's do Wized, and this is going to be create post button. How was this called? The form. The form was create post form. So let's do create post submit. Nice, like that. And we will have to create the post page so we can render that post in there. Yeah, let's handle this button for a second and then let's do that. Doing this button will be as simple as simply changing the value attribute of it one while the request is being performed. We display requesting or creating. So here, boom, let's go HTML attribute that's going to be value, and the value will be if the create post is requesting, we're going to say creating dot dot dot. If it's failing, we're going to say create, like that. We should also probably have some kind of error messages. And I'm starting to think that it would make sense to have a toast message system. Maybe we can do that in the next live stream. So anytime that we've got an error, we don't have to be always doing the same thing of, all right, we create an error element here, we hide the error element, and then if there's an error, we display the error element with the text. That's too much work for the whole project. Instead, we could potentially create a toast message. I like it. So anytime that there's an error, we simply assign the error, and then the error will just boop, it will pop up, it will display here in some kind of toast message, and then after maybe 5 seconds, it will go away. I like that better. Nice. So let's try another one just in case, another. And let's do test. Cool. Love it. And let's create this. And as you can see, it did create it. Nice. So after creating, we want to redirect the user. So, whoops, actually, after submitting the form, creating the post, let's redirect the user. So navigate to, and we're going to navigate to /post and then not sorry, question mark ID equals to the ID that we just created, which is r.createPost.data.id. Because after creating the post, we get a response. Look at this. After creating the post, whoops. Where is it? Come on. Create post. Here. After creating the post, we've got the data with the post ID that we just created. So post ID, we could also display the data like the title, body, all that stuff. So we redirect to the post page with the ID in it to display the post, which it means that we need to create the post page. Come here, post, like that. I've duplicated this for now, but let's simply get rid of this. And this is going to be a post. Let's publish. Great. All right, let's try it out. So after doing this, let's do final one. This is going to be an announcement. This is ready. Let's create, and if it works fine, after clicking on this, it should redirect to the post page. Nice. Perfect. There's one thing extra that I want to do, and it's that when we're submitting this, I only want to navigate to the post page if the request was successful, because otherwise, if it failed for some reason, we don't want to be redirecting the user. So let's make this conditional, and the condition should be r.createPost.ok. like that. If it was not okay, we don't want to redirect the user. All right, nice. So you probably know what's coming now, and it's that we need to create the logic for displaying the post on this page. Simple enough. Let's quickly do this. Let's do get a post, and we're gonna get a post like this. Boom. And this is gonna be a get an item from the posts. I think that this goes in the posts like that. The record ID will simply come from the query params, right? Which means that we need to create a query param that we tell you with, hey, all right, we are using this query param for something. In this case, this will be the ID query param. So in general, navigation parameters ID. And as you can see, this already has an ID. Why is that? Why do we have an ID? Ah, for some reason I hard coded it. All right, that's fine. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so when getting the post, we want to get the record ID from n.parameter.id, like that. And for now, let's select everything. I think that's fine. Yeah. So when we go to the post page, let's go to the post page. In this post, we are going to load this post page with an ID, right? Let's do this ID, and let's get an ID. Let's do the final one, which is 7. So for some reason, it was already fine. I don't know why. So if we try to retrieve the post here, let's play. We are getting the post successfully. We're getting these, which means that we can populate the title, we can populate the body, we can populate who created that, etc. Let's try it out. Let's do for now, super quick, rich text like this. Simple enough. That's fine. Boom. Boom. This is going to be the post. So let's do Wized post title. And this is going to be Wized post body. Yeah. Nice. 1 second. Let's refresh this. Let's try the X-ray. And we want to display in the post title the text of the get the post dot data dot user. What? This is not right. Get the post. Ah, because we need to get the post. Hold on. Let's get the post super quick. Get the post. Play. Nice. All right, let's go back here. This should be data dot title. Nice. And in the body, we want to display the, we've got some weird spacing here. I'm going to fix that as well. We want to render the text from r.getPost.data.body, but this is coming in as HTML, right? In Wized, we can render things as HTML, as you can see. Look at this. This is ready. Yeah. That's a good thing of storing as HTML, and it's that we can store things with bolding, with italics, with anything, and we'll be able to render that in here as well. I want to do a quick test again. So let's go to create. Let's do testing. Let's make this music. And let's do this. Let's do a title for now. This is a heading. Nice. This is some body with some bold text. And then what else can we do here? Let's do some bullets. Some bullet, another bullet. Like that, right? So let's try to create this, and it should create it. It should redirect us. And obviously there's no post because we have not created the event to fetch the post when the page loads. We're going to do this in a second, but let's get the post manually. And look at that. So this is coming with the proper styles. Yay. So we've got the title, and then we've got this, and then we've got the body with the bold text, and then we've got the bullets. Nice. Great. I want to load the post anytime that this page loads, right? So let's create an event for it. In the event, let's do post page loading, for example. And the trigger is going to be the page starts loading. It's going to be conditional, and conditional is that the href, so the n dot path is equals to post, like this. So we only run these specific events when the page is the post page. And in here, we want to do one action that it's going to be check that there's a post ID, because if there's no post ID, we want to redirect the user back to the homepage as well. So let's do navigate to the homepage. If there is no post ID, if there is no n.parameter.id, like that. So if I go to the post page, oh, we need to, because I did, this was posts, not post. What do you guys prefer? Do you guys prefer /posts or /post? I think that it makes more sense to be post, not posts. Yeah, I think that it should be post. So hold on, let me go to the post item for a second. Where's the link? The title maybe is? Yes. So when clicking on any of the posts, I want to send to the post, not to the posts. Like that. Post for individual page, posts for a collection. Yes, absolutely makes more sense. Yeah. All right. There's another thing that it's missing, and it's, let me go back to, come on, index. So it should not be like this. It should be like this. ID equals to this. So it's /post $ID equals to this. We are adding a query parameter to it. So if we did it right, now, great. And as you can see, the page is not redirecting me because there is a post like that. Look at that. Oh, nice. Yeah. So we're getting the parameter from the canvas. Great. But if for some reason I load this page without the ID, remember that I've created this post page loading event that it's checking for the parameter ID to exist. But otherwise, I don't want to load this page. So let's try it out. Let me remove this. And now, as you can see, I got redirected to the homepage because there was no ID. Nice. Great. So after checking that there's a parameter ID, I want to perform a request, and the request is going to be get a post. Boom. Lovely. Nice. Let's check another one. Testing. Nice. Let's check another one. Final one. Yes. Another. Nice. Test. Nice. Great. All right. So this is looking good. All right. So the next thing should be displaying who created the post, right? That's the thing that I tried to do on the last live stream, but was missing. Remember that we are displaying this in here. And obviously, also inside the post page, we probably want to display more info, the category, obviously, and also the user who created it. To do this, let me jump into here. Right now, we've got the table for posts. So this is a posts table in Supabase. And we've got the users table. But in Supabase, these two tables are living into different schemas. In Supabase, the tables are not also split between obviously tables, but also between schemas. And these schemas kind of like they isolate the data. So I cannot create any relation field that allows me to automatically pull the data from this table to this one, because this is living in a different schema. So this is in the public schema, and this is in the auth schema. Ideally here, because we have a field that it's called user ID, a table, sorry, that user ID that points to the users would allow me, so anytime that I fetch one of these things, I retrieve the post data, and then also I am able to retrieve the user as well. But as I mentioned, this is living in a separate schema, and the user record may contain things that are sensitive, right? Maybe it contains some private info, maybe it contains something that you really don't want to be exposing. So the best solution is, instead of connecting the posts directly to the users table, is to create an intermediate table in here that it's called something like profiles. All right. And this table, it's simply a replica of the users table, but only with the information that you want to make public. There are a few things that we want to make public. We want to make public, obviously, the user ID, the ID of the user. We want to make public as well the username, the profile picture, maybe the birth. We could Maybe we could do the birthday as well. But that's it. We don't want to expose anything else, right? From this, which means that in here we are going to create a function, a Postgres function, that anytime there's a change in users, runs this, and it grabs the data and it replicates it in the profiles table. So let's imagine that we add a new user. That's going to trigger this function. This function will grab the data from the user and will only put the fields that we want to make public into the profiles table, like that, right? We're always going to be keeping things in sync. So how do we do this? First of all, obviously, we need to create these profiles table. So let's go to Supabase and let's do this. Let's do profiles. This is going to have an ID. This is going to have the created at as well. And yeah, we can do the created at. Let's also do username. And let's also do profile. And I'm calling this profile because we also called it profile in the user metadata to store the profile picture. So let's just assume that profile means the URL to the profile picture. And that's it. So this, do we want to have the birthday as well? Let's do the birthday. So anytime that there's an update in the users table, we're going to be updating these columns. I want to create a relationship between the users, between the ID of the profile and the ID of the user. I want that ID to be the same. So then there's never a missing thing between both, like that. And let's save. Ensure that all columns are assigned to a type. Oops. This is going to be some text. This is going to be some text. And this is also going to be some text, I think. Yes. Save. We're adding 5 columns. Good. Nice. Let me double check for a second if I did write correctly the metadata. Come on. So the raw metadata is storing, yes. So profile for the picture, birthday, and username. Great. Nice. So now that we've got this table in here, we want to create what's called a function, database function. This is a I think that's Postgres in Supabase. It's a Postgres function that we can trigger at any moment. So whenever something changes, whenever something is added, whenever something is removed, etc. I could create the function manually, but I am not a pro at SQL. So let's simply use the AI assistant from Supabase. It's pretty handy. Here, I want to say create a new function that syncs the data of the users table. Let me zoom in here. The data of the users table from the auth schema into the data of the profiles table from the public schema. The profiles table has the following columns: ID, ID, created at, username, birthday, whoops, not birthday, but birthday, and what was the other one? And profile, like this. The relationship between them is the ID, let's do the profile ID. I hope that it understands this. Profile.id is equals to users.id, and this is profiles. Then profiles.created at. Do we have the same field for in the users? I think that we do have it. Let me check. Let me open this Supabase again here on the side. In the authentication table, do we have it created at? Yeah, we do have a created at. Nice. Then the profiles.username is equals to raw user metadata dot username. So raw user metadata dot username. And the same thing for the birthday and the profile. So let's do this. So this is going to be birthday and the profile. Anytime that a user is created, edited, or removed, the data should be synced to the profiles table. All right, let's hope for the best. To create a function that syncs data from the users table into the auth schema, to the profiles table into the public schema, we will define a function that will be triggered on insert, update, or delete operations on the users table. This function will handle the synchronization of the relevant fields. Here's the SQL code to create the function. Let's explore this. Can I make this bigger? Yes. So create a replace the function, sync users to profiles. All right. And then it's saying, all right, so if there was an insert or an update, then we want to insert the data into the profiles table. We want to insert, whoops, come on, ID created at, username, birthday, and profile. Nice. The values are coming from the ID created at and raw user metadata, username, birthday, and profile. Good. If there is any conflict, update things. All right. When deleting, we are going to be deleting it. Nice. Nice. And then we create a trigger that says sync the users anytime that we insert, update, or delete in the users here. For each row, execute this function. Looking good for me. What do you guys think? Let's see. Let's try to create this. Success. That's a good thing. Nice. So we've got this sync users. Great. And the triggers should display in the auth table how we've got the trigger. So after inserting, after deleting, or after updating, we are running this function to sync the users to the profiles table. Look at this. Nice. So let's try it out. Let's go to the database here. Let's see the tables. Right now we don't have anything because we haven't done any actions, but what if I go to here and I update this? Can I update anything? No, I cannot, but we can do it from here. Let's go to our profile page and let's change my birthday to today. Let's update. Boom. Nice. Did it work? Let's see. Database. Please work. Profiles. Let me refresh this data. Maybe I needed to first some because maybe because this already exists, it tries to update, but it doesn't update because it doesn't exist. Because we created the user before having this function in place. So how do we do this? Let's simply create it ourselves. So this is going to be a user ID like that. So let's go to the database. Let's go to the table. Let me insert this. So the ID is going to be my user ID created at, let's do something random. Let's see if it syncs everything. Yeah, let's do random things. If I create it like this, now I have it. Now if I try to update things, so let's update it to yesterday, maybe. Let's see. Is it going to sync it? Come on, you've got this. Sync it for me. It is not syncing. It is not syncing. All right. Edit the function, arguments. Is there a way that we can check the results of a trigger? Do you guys know it? If not, I'm going to check that for the next live stream because we're actually already ran out of time for today. ID created at the values are these ones. All right. For now, it is not syncing. So what I'm going to do, because today we are already at the end of the live stream, I'm going to check for the next live stream, why is it failing? And I will explain why it was failing instead of wasting anybody's time checking and debugging things. All right. But the idea is this, all right? We are on the right track, which is anytime that there is a change in the auth schema in the users table, we simply dump the data into the public table of profiles, right? And then with this, we'll be able to display the user's data. So stay tuned for the next live stream because we are stopping here today. I'm already 5 minutes past the time. Anybody who's watching here, I really appreciate you having the time and taking it and making the comments and questions. And see you next live stream. See you next Friday. We are almost done with creating, and we'll be soon starting to sprinkle cool things like payments and things like this. There's a lot of things to do, and I don't know. At some point we'll have to put a stop on this because otherwise it's going to be like a unlimited amount of things to do on a project. All right, thank you guys. Hope that everyone has a good weekend. See you next Friday. Thank you all.